Hello, my crafty friends. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to my channel. This is Sheree, and we're going to get started on making another sewing journal from scratch. So I have everything here. I think I have everything here to make the cover. So I promised I would come back, and since I didn't do the cover of the last one on video, because I didn't know exactly which direction I was going to go on that one, I'm going to do this one the same way as I did that one because I really like how it turned out. And so let's do this. So I have picked out this sewing pattern here, Simplicity. You can see these 6 ladies on the front looking very stylish. This sewing pattern is in good condition. A lot of them seem to be like in good condition, except for the flap is a lot of times like this, crinkled for some reason. I guess it's just the way it's stored, and you know, it's paper and all that kind of stuff. So first of all, I picked out some fabric too. This is a piece of vintage sheet, a strip. I had the whole sheet. I still have more pieces of it, not the whole sheet, but I have pieces of it left. But I thought this was really pretty with the gold on here. And I have a piece of, this is double-sided. It's not quite cardstock, but it's pretty thick paper. It's not like thin cardstock or thin scrapbook paper. It is paper, but it's not thin paper. And then I have a file folder. This is one I'm recycling. Cut the tab off, brought it home from work, and I have some other goodies here, ribbons and things to match. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to use, because I have the other half of the file folder from the other journal, but this side is a little bit too short. I don't want to restrict myself with this short piece here, and this piece isn't long enough to, you know, use. So I'm going to use the bigger half, and plus this side doesn't have the score lines like this side, so I won't have to deal with that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I just cut a little sliver off here, and that way I'll cut the fold off and not have to deal with that part of this file folder. So let's cut that off. Oh, I meant to take my jacket off before I started this video. I still have it on, so let me get that off real quick, because it's nice and cozy and warmish here in my craft room now. So I do not need this jacket on. Uh-oh, there it goes. Thought I almost did my zipper wrong. Okay, now I can be comfy. Not too hot, not too cold. Okay, so I don't need this piece. So I have a little pile behind me of organized things that I used in the last journal, and I kept some of them out that are, you know, like I put the basic colors away because the last one was I used reds and burgundies, and so I put all the colors away, colorful things, and left out the things that would go with this journal. So I have my file folder. There's a little branding here, but we'll be covering that up. So it looks like this, just a plain, in good condition file folder that I'm recycling. Now I'm going to take all of the insides out of this envelope. So here's what it looks like at the moment. It looks like it was used. See, the pieces are cut out, and I did not do that. So whoever had this pattern did make something out of it. So here's all of that tissue, and here are the instructions. So we'll put that aside for the moment because we're not going to be using that right now. And then for this, what I did on the last one was just, again, if you've watched my video for a while, you know, videos for a while, my channel for a while, you know I like to cut off the folds. So I'm going to cut off the flap here. Go ahead and cut that off. Just right above, just right on the crease or the fold of the flap. So I have the whole flap here. And I used the last flap in the journal. If you saw the flip through, which was probably, going to say probably yesterday. I'm trying to think of when this is going to be published. It was actually this same flap. I think it said the same thing on there. Yeah, it did. But I wasn't able to keep it together because it was a little more tattered, and I had to cut off some of this and some of this, and so I ended up cutting it kind of in half. But let's see what we can do with this one. Kind of play it by ear. Okay, now we're going to cut the folds off, and that way we can see exactly what we're working with, and we can also figure out the size that this is going to be. Sometimes, sometimes they're a little, like a fraction smaller, bigger, depending on what you have to cut off of your journal. Say if you have a little rip somewhere, like this one, their feet go right down to the bottom. But thank goodness there's no rips in here. But if there was a little rip up here, you might want to cut this like right there above their heads. But there's no rip up there, so I'm going to be able to keep the whole thing. But I'm just saying that things like that could determine your final size of your journal, right? Unless you're putting it on a background of a bigger book or something. So let's cut this bottom fold off. I'm going right, just barely anything really off the bottom, just to get it separated from the back. See, this is all I cut off. Just really barely anything. And then we're going to do this side, and then it will be separated. Okay, so a little sliver off over here. Let's see. Make sure this is straight. Because if it's not straight, I'm going to end up cutting more off. So I'm trying to make it straight the first time. Well, let's see how we did. Is it separated, or did I not cut off enough? It is separated pretty much. I was wondering about this top part. It's a little tattered right here, so I wasn't sure what was going to cut there. So I'm just going to cut this with my scissors like that for the moment. The edges are going to be covered up with fabric anyway. So let's see. So you can see how it fits on the file folder. See, I have a little bit of room on the top and on the bottom, so I'll be cutting a little bit off of that. And I have a little label up here from the original use of the folder. There was a label here with the tab. So, and I just cut it straight across when I cut off the tab, so it left a little bit of that label there, or yeah, a little bit of label there. So I want to keep this together. I want to make sure I glue this down on the right side, because this is going to be folded. Say we fold it like this. I think I'll put the branding on the inside though, because the paper will cover that nicely, in case you can see through the fabric or something that I'm be putting on the spine. Probably not, but just, you know, I'm being extra careful, so I'm going to put that on the inside. So I'm going to fold it. Go ahead. I think I'll go ahead and fold it like this. That way I won't get confused about what's going where. You know what I mean? You can score your spine if you want. This is folding nicely, so I don't feel the need to score it, but if you want to score it, you can if you feel like you need to. I think I will go ahead and glue this down, and then I'll cut around. And I'll probably glue this down, cut around, and then glue on the back, because then I'll know exactly where my back is going to go. If I should glue this down and then glue on the back, there is a slight chance that this would be off. Like the back would be too high, too low, and then we'll be cutting pieces off to get it evened up so that the back is even with the front. We're going to do it like this. So I can, oh, there are two little holes here. I couldn't see that when it was together. See this? Two little holes right there. And I couldn't see it because the inside of the pattern was there, and you really couldn't see the holes. But there are two little holes right down here. But I'm just gonna kind of like ignore those for the moment. So I don't know if you can really see the condition of this envelope, but hopefully you can. It's not perfect. it's pretty perfect, but it's not like brand new, you know, perfectly flat, no crinkles. See up here, we got a little crinkle and a little crinkle over here, a little crinkle right here. The two holes and a little crinkle down here. So I've got it cut. Everything looks pretty straight. Here's what the inside looks like actually. Kind of brown on the inside. And these aren't very, I mean, I feel like these aren't very thick, these sewing patterns, although somehow they hold up over the years. People store them nicely and they do hold up whenever, unless they're, I mean, you have seen them and I have seen them. Sometimes they get torn and you'll get one and it's just got a big tear right here. You know what I mean? I have some like that. And we'll do with those sometime. We'll do something with those. But today we're not going to deal with one of those. We're going to deal with this one right here. So I got some new glue. I already tried it out on the last journal, gluing a couple things. Most things I already had glued when I got this, but once I got this, I decided to try it out. I know I see a lot of people using this, and I had never used it before. I decided to try it out because I was looking for some permanent glue stick, and I think glue prices may have, certain glue prices may have gone up, and so I decided to try this because it was a good deal for a permanent glue stick, and even for, like, if you compare the price of, if I compared the price of this permanent to the washable glue that I get sometimes, and really just a little bit more, and I got the permanent instead of the washable. And I do try to keep some permanent on hand, and I was out, so that's why I was kind of like looking for permanent, and this was the best deal on Amazon. And I'm going to try to remember to put it in my Amazon list under this video, the deal I got on Amazon. I'll try to put a link down there for you. But we're going to see how this turns out, because it's really interesting how these glue down. And I did the other one with a permanent glue stick too, because it's kind of like, you know, like I said, it's not the thickest of paper. And if you go getting, I just don't like, I'm kind of like paranoid I'm going to just ruin it if I put wet glue on it. Like any type of wettish glue, Fabri-Tac, Art Glitter Glue, Mod Podge, anything like that. So I've had good success with this, with permanent glue. Like the only one I used before this was Elmer's Craft Bond permanent glue, and that worked good. But I used this, like I said, after I got it on a couple things in the last journal, and I was like very impressed because it goes on so easily and so evenly. So if you use if you use washable glue, you know, the purple glue, you will notice that you have to go over and over and over, and at least that's what my experience, what I feel like. I feel like I have to go over and over and over to get a solid layer of glue. But this, you just saw what I just did, and I could see that there was glue everywhere. So that's what I did. Okay, so I'm going to put this down. Let me think about this for a second before I put it permanently down. Oops, it's already, never mind. I don't want to tear anything. Okay, so this is what I like about using a glue stick, a permanent glue stick. First of all, permanent glue stick is permanent. But look how this magically kind of almost irons itself out. I mean, I was amazed at the last one, and I was excited to see how this one would turn out. And it's doing the same thing. If you've never tried this, it's really interesting. So I'm going to show you in a second. Let me just get this all pushed down with my fingers. My thumb I'm doing right now. Wow, that is amazing. So this is going to be my new favorite because it's a little, I'll tell you what, another thing about this Scotch, it's Scotch, a permanent glue stick. When I used the Elmer's permanent glue stick, it was a little drier. If you've ever used both of them, maybe you can tell me if you know what I mean. It was a little drier. This is a little wetter, it seems. Like, even though it's a glue stick, it's a little wetter, so you feel like you have the glue on there really well. Tell me if that makes sense, if you've ever used both of those. Anyway, let me show you this. Now look at see all the tattered and crinkles I showed you? They're kind of gone. It kind of, with the glue on there, and you press it down, and it just kind of irons itself out. And it looks brand new again, except for the two little holes, which don't bother me at all. You have the file folder on there, and the file folders are this vanilla color, so it blends in. And if it really bothered me, well, the fabric's kind of gonna go like up to here, and then we'll have some rickrack or some kind of trim or something. So those are probably gonna get covered up anyway. But even if they didn't, it wouldn't bother me. But isn't that beautiful now that we've put it down with glue and it kind of resurrected it into looking brand new. I think that is so cool how that works. So that's what we're going to do now. So that we know where to put our back, we're going to cut this off. Now the other thing I was going to do when I was going to pick it up, I thought maybe move it over a little. Maybe I'll do it on the next one, but if you wanted to, you could move it over a little. Like I could have put it over to this edge and then had a little bit more file folder showing here. And then when the fabric comes around, it won't cover up as much as this. You know what I mean? So let's cut this. Let's cut this edge. I'm just cutting right on the edge. I'm not cutting any of the pattern off. I'm going to cut it right on the edge. All right. Okay. So like that. So we have our width now. And then we're going to cut the top off. Again, just right on the edge. I'm not cutting any of the sewing pattern envelope off at this point. I'm not going to cut any more off. I do want to make sure I have all the file folder cut off though, and there's a little sliver there. A little sliver. Let me see if I can get that without taking any of the sewing pattern off. There we go, that's better. Just one more sliver needed to come off there. And now the bottom. Oh, that's just a very tiny sliver because I tried to put it at the bottom, but there was a little tiny file folder sliver here. So let's cut that off. There we go. That is tiny. Okay, so there we have it. Look how beautiful. It's beautiful already. I love it so much. That is so cool how it like brings it back to life and looks brand new again. All perfectly flat and non-crinkled. Okay, so the back, now we have our back, so we know exactly where to put our back. Let's see how this one turns out. And again, let me show you this one condition again so you can see the transformations. Hopefully this will do the same thing. I have a little piece here. Let's see what this is doing. We won't cut that off yet, but probably after that little piece will need to be trimmed. But there's a little bit of a kind of a crinkling going on here. There's a little crinkle right there. And, you know, the corners are a little crinkled. Okay, so here we go. Let's see how this one does. Let's see. And so now notice the wetness of this. I don't have any more craft bond. I used it up. That's why I ordered these. But if I did, I would show you the difference. But see if you can see it in the camera, the wetness of this glue stick. And I actually think maybe you use less of this one than if you were to use a washable purple glue stick. Because you're going, this is what I do to get good coverage with a washable purple glue stick. I just go over and over and over it until I don't see any. It's like it's also solid purple, but it's like I have to go over and over back and forth, and it dries pretty quickly. So then I feel like I have to go over it again. So I think that in the end, you might actually use less of this and more of that. So it's actually not costing you any more because you're using less of this. I think that might be the case. We shall see. This is only the first one I'm using, so but you can tell I'm already excited about it because I'm already loving it. Okay, so I'm just trying to go like as I'm gluing, right kind of overlapping each streak so that I don't miss any spots, but I don't know if you can see the shininess of it, and that helps me to know that I have a solid layer of glue all over everything. I'll try to show it to you as I pick it up and get my fingers unglued there. But yeah, I feel like I need to put somewhere my fingers were. I took the glue off, probably. But let's see, there's a fingerprint right there. But yeah, just one stroke over the whole thing, and it all has a nice solid layer of glue on every single speck of it. Okay, so it was like this. The measuring tape was over here on this side. So I'm doing the same thing as it was, and you can see the numbers upright. So it's upright. This is upright, so we're good to go here. So I'm going to try to line this up. I'm going to line it up with the outer edge and the bottom edge here, so we can get the whole thing on here. There we go. Okay, got a little bit of glue right there. All right, now we're going to smooth this one out. And all the little corners where the crinkles were. Smooth those out too. And like I said, we'll have to cut a little piece off right here because that was sticking up over the rest of it. But let's just get this all smoothed out. And of course this part was already, you know, non-crinkled. This part, really on the back, it was just the corners. So here's that part that's sticking up. Let me see. Let me cut that off. Okay, got that. And then I feel like this is not down here, so a little bit right here. I didn't have to do this on the front, but somehow I didn't get enough glue on there. Whoops. I think I got a chunk under there. Let me get a chunk. I don't want a chunk under there. It makes it lumpy. There we go. Got the chunk out. A chunk came off. That's because this is so moist. Okay, so there's a little bit sticking up right up here, so above the file folder. This all looks good. It's sticking up. There's a piece sticking out beyond the spine here. So I'll trim that up in a second. I just want to make sure all of the edges are down first, and they are. So let's trim off the little pieces that are sticking over. Here's a little crumb of a piece here. And let's see, I already trimmed a piece off the top, or off the top that was right here, I think it was. But there's a little bit right here. Let's go ahead and take that off. I'm trying, I gotta remember, I gotta concentrate a little bit because I don't want to forget any of the steps that I want to do on this to make this cover. It's easy, but if you forget a step, then you gotta do something different than you planned, right? A little crumb of a piece there, and I think we have done it. So far, so good. Let me show you what it looks like so far. Well, there's a little piece right there. Forgot about that piece. Let's see, what do we got hanging off here? Or maybe they picked that up from the table. Pieces, or maybe my fingers got glue on it. I'm gluing myself to things. Okay, a little piece there. And what was the other piece? Oh, it was sticking off the spine over here. Like, I don't really have to worry about this, but it's going to be covered up. But I don't want it to cause any problems when I'm gluing on the fabric, so I'm going to cut that off. All right. It looks good. That looks good. Okay. All right, there we go. Now I can show you. There's the front. There's the back. Now, what I did on the last one at this point was I think I went ahead around to the corner corners when I did this, because I didn't want it to be too thick and then I wouldn't be able to round the corners later. I like the rounded corners on the cover. I didn't round the corner. I didn't feel the need to round the corners of all the pages, but I do like the rounded corners on the cover. So let me go ahead and do that. And you'll see what that looks like. Okay, so you don't have to round the corners. I just like the looks of it. I thought it looked nice. See, there we go. Let me see that okay. Pretty. Okay, now the next thing I did was work on the inside, and I pulled out two ribbons, type ribbons here for the closure. And I kind of want to use this right here. It's called hem tape. It's the same thing as the silky seam binding. It looks the same to me. I don't know why they call. I mean, I think it's probably used for the same purpose. It's all used for the hem, right? So hem tape, seam binding. I really think it's all the same thing, as far as this goes anyway. And I know there's different sizes, because I've seen them and I've bought them for my junk journals. But I like this one, this little one that looks like a ribbon for closures. And so this is probably, you know, vintage seam binding. I bought it at a thrift store. So there's this one. Idea book coupon on the inside here. That's cool. And let's see. Okay. So yeah, I like the color on this to go with the girls' outfits here. So let's take. So the if the wrinkles didn't fall out of this, I would iron it. But I think on the last journal I didn't iron it, and the wrinkles kind of, not wrinkles, but these little fold parts just kind of fell out. Okay, so I'm going to be gluing this all across the inside. I like to do it like that. I feel like it's nice and sturdy, and then I also sew across, so, you know, I feel like it makes it nice and sturdy when you're pulling on it and you're tying it and everything. Eyelets are the same. I think they're just as sturdy. If I remember to do this like this, I like to do it like this if I can and I remember. So that's plenty there to tie a nice bow. I mean, I'm not really measuring it. You can see I'm holding it here on the spine, and that's where it's going to be glued in, and then just kind of eyeball it like that. Looks like about a foot beyond the, you could add a couple more inches or another inch if you're worried that it's not long enough. I mean, that's plenty for a nice, nice bow on the side. Okay, so I take that went to my spine, I just double it. So there's where it is, and so I'm just doubling it here, and then I'll cut it, and that'll be our closure. Let me find my scissors. So I'll cut a little angle on here, and then cut a little angle on this one too, so it's pretty. All right. And I have that much left if I need that for anything else. Let me open up our cover, and we're going to put this, just find the middle again. This seems to be, let me see if it's the same on both sides. Actually, I think if I were going to pick a side, I think this looks like the front side, so I'm going to glue the front side down. I like the front side to be, when I close the journal, to be out with the cover. Okay, so I'm saying this is the front side. So I'm going to find my middle again. Here's my middle right here. So let's just place this down here, because that's where it's going to, it's not going to go right there, but we're going to put glue here, and then move it up into the glue area. But that's my middle there. And we might measure it again just to make sure. Okay, so now we need some glue. So for this part, I mean, you could use any glue you want. I mean, I am going to sew out here, but I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. That's my strongest glue. So, and I'm just eyeballing my middle. Say that looks like my middle of the length, about right there. You can measure if you want. So I'm just going to take my glue, put some glue here. Alright, glue all the way to the other side too. Again, eyeballing what I think the ribbon's about, what, ½ an inch in width, not width, 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 and get enough glue on there to hold it down forever. That's all. That's all I'm asking from this glue. Alright. I feel like right there. Not quite. There we go. Nice, even. Alright. Now, we're going to pick it up. I'm going to measure again. I want to make sure. Of course I'm going to measure again. Can't help myself. Okay, we're going to make sure this is even. Bring our two ends together. Let's do that. And then the middle, right here. Right here. And I'm going to put that down right in the glue. Stretch it out. Try to make it straight, Sheree. Push it down in the middle so you don't have like a bubble there or anything, or a bubble anywhere else. Okay, there's two of your folds that you just kind of ironed out with the glue, and they're underneath the paper, so it doesn't even matter. Alright, looks good. Now next we're going to put down our paper. This is the paper. This is double-sided paper, but when I saw these polka dots in this kind of golden yellow color, that's the color of their outfits. It's that golden kind of yellow. It's not really bright yellow. So I kind of had to look for that, and like it didn't pop up right away. I didn't have any out that color or anything, so I was like going through all my scrapbook paper to find the perfect inside piece. So and this is what I did before. I just glued this whole piece down and then cut it out. So you glue this down and then you cut it out, and at that time when you're cutting it out, you're also cutting around your rounded corners, so you don't have to worry about using your corner rounder again in case it won't fit around that thicker with 3 layers on it at that point. And then mine might, but I just didn't want to take a chance, so that's why I went ahead and rounded those corners beforehand. And this is, like I said, pretty thick paper. It's not thin paper. So I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac on the inside because it won't buckle or do anything to this paper because it's almost cardstock. I don't think it's quite, I mean, some people might call it cardstock. I don't think it is, but it's so thick I can't tell almost that it's not whether it's paper or cardstock. But I'm going to say paper because, I mean, if it's cardstock, you know it's cardstock, right? Like I have a lot of cardstock. I know what cardstock feels like, so I'm going to say it's paper, but it's just really thick, so. Okay, so I'm going to get, even on the ribbon, glue all over. We'll do this half first, and then we'll do the other half. And this paper is non-directional. If your paper is directional, just make sure you have your, cover going in the right direction on the outside. Okay, so when we finish this piece of paper, our cover, we're going to put some fabric on here and some fabric and pockets and trim. And hopefully I better get moving so that we can not take 2 hours here. This is real-time crafting, with a little explanation thrown in because that's probably taking a little bit longer. If you were just to sit down and do this, it would probably take less time than I am taking on this video without trying to explain it to anyone. Alright, well, I put on the whole thing, didn't I? I sure did. So let's get this paper down. All right, so I'm going to try to put this down without wasting any paper. So kind of in the corner here and on the edge, maybe. Then I won't have to cut this side, possibly. All right, I think we did pretty good. Pretty good. Yes, it does look good. It looks pretty straight. I can't really look at that side though. I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm just going to put it down. Whatever happens is what it happens. So just kind of smash it down all over. Get your glue spread. I have said it before, but I'll say it again. I like to use my hands instead of anything else because I'm afraid, I mean, I have almost, or maybe I have torn the paper before, I don't remember, but I could, you could feel it if you feel like you're starting to tear or grab something that you don't want to. So I just use my hands. They're nice and smooth, so I'm not going to tear anything, right? Okay, so now we cut off our extra paper. Let's do that. You can kind of just cut. Don't cut into your cover. You don't want to cut into your cover. And don't cut off your ribbon closures if you did them like this. Like, shh, nope, you don't want to cut off your ribbon closures. So I kind of just pull them over, and cut right under it carefully. That's where I don't go too fast. I don't want to cut that off. That would be terrible. After all that work, getting it even, measuring, eyeball measuring, that would not be cool. Okay. This is the top, as you can see. And then I will round the corners. Now I'll go back, because I just kind of squared off the corners, so now I can go back and kind of go around my corners. Rounded corners, just like that. Make sure you get it all. Another corner. See, it's just a little bitty thing you have to cut off now once you've got all the paper cut off. Just a little, and just like that, you have rounded corners. No fuss, no muss. Okay. And to make sure, I'm seeing a sliver here. I somehow didn't cut. Like, I'm being so careful, I don't want to cut into the cover, but I do want this paper cut off right here next to the little piece right here. All right, I think I got it. All right, there we go. Okay. So these pieces are being added to my scrap pile. All right, let me get up here for a second. I have my scraps organized behind me. I have a little pile of scraps from the last one. And now I just added those to that pile. All right. It's probably just about dry because, the fabric dries real fast, but I'm going to leave it for a second and go ahead and start putting on the fabric back here. So yes, I know what you're saying. I had a little trouble covering up this, but I think it's best for the journal to put something here because this is just paper. This, even though it's glued down, it's just paper, and I think I would think it would get worn. So I feel like it's better off with a little fabric there, even though it's covering up that simplicity. And the only other thing you could do, I like the width of these journals. They're about, the other one was 5 1/4. Let me see if this one ended up to be the same. See if it's 5 1/4. Yeah, pretty much a little over 5 1/4 on this one. Just like 2/8 over. But I like the width. I like the width of these, the way it is. But if you don't mind it being a little wider, like I said, you could move it over that whatever it was, 1/4 of an inch or so over here, and you don't have to put fabric there if you don't want to, if you're not worried about it. But I am worried about it. So plus I think it really adds a lot to it. So I just have to get over it. have to just get over covering up whatever I'm covering up. And in the end, I was really happy with the results on the last one. And I just think fabric adds so much to it. Because I've seen them made. I've made them. I don't remember if I think I did put fabric on all, most of mine. But, that I made before. But I've seen, I've watched plenty of other YouTubers make these. And I just really like the addition of the fabric on the spine. It just looks so pretty. So it just adds so much. So yeah. So I feel like I like the end result when you put fabric on. So all right, I'm going to try to see if I can do this all in one fell swoop here. So I'm going to, there we go. All right, I'm going to do it like that. And so I'll put a little bit, the fold is right here. And so if there's anything, also if there's any kind of, like maybe you didn't cut your cover, your envelope quite right, and if you've got something showing here, like I do in the middle, a little bit of file folder I think is showing right here. I think, or I don't know if that's paper or file folder, I can't even quite tell. But anyway, say you didn't cut your paper, envelope quite right. The fabric can cover that up too, So then you don't have to worry about being like so perfect. Okay. I almost want to spread this out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm putting the fabric on, which is a piece of vintage sheet. I think it's, well, wait a minute, let me move it over a little bit. I don't want to cover up the ladies. That's one thing I'm not covering up is the ladies, so I'm going to put it right there. So all of her shows. Okay. That's one thing I refuse to cover up is the ladies. I'm not covering up the ladies. That's what it's all about. These ladies on the front, right? No, we're not doing that. Okay. Yeah, I had to get over that covering up this part. I had to get over it. You will too. If you cover it up, or when you see the end result on this one, or if you didn't see the end result on the last one, just look back at that video. You'll see how cute it is with the fabric and the trim and everything. It just adds so much to it. I just love it. Okay. All right. Little string there. Okay. Let's get this all down. And then we'll turn to the inside. And try not to get too much glue. I don't want it showing, but we are going to put some trim on here. I've got, do I have 2 trims or 1 trim? Oh, I have 2 trims. I haven't decided on the trim yet. We'll experiment hopefully quickly and decide. Okay, so that is down. And you can leave it just like that. You don't have to put trim on either. I love the frayed look, but I'd also like it with trim, so. Now this is why I picked out the polka dots, because I knew it would look good with the flowers. Okay, so we're going to cut a piece to go right down to the bottom. So about right here. Right down to the bottom, so about right there. And I don't have my pinking shears right here, and I always put them away because they're big. Pinking shears are kind of big and clunky, I'm like, I gotta put these away. And then I always need them right after I put them away. But I don't want to leave them out here. I don't even want to put them in my little cup or anything because they're so, like I said, big and clunky. But I like to put them away. Oh well. So that's why I just cut those with scissors. All right, now we're going to glue this piece down. And this fabric is also non-directional really, so if you're using fabrics and it's directional, then you have to pay attention to that. All right, let's get the spine here and then we'll make sure where we want our glue on the fabric. Okay. So let's just spread this out a little bit. I didn't put too much glue there, but I am putting trim down on the inside too. So, all right. So we'll put this down and then we'll do the edges. Okay, so that is pretty. All right, glue off the fingers a little bit at least. I know I have a glue spreader, but it's not here. Where did I put it? Well, I don't know why I keep losing glue spreaders. Like, I don't normally lose things, but if that glue spreader is lost, it'll be the second one I've lost. And like, where do you lose a glue spreader? I'm probably just throwing them away. Like, this has too much glue on it. I'm just going to throw it away. Sounds like something I would do, right? I don't want to clean this off. I'm just going to forget about it and throw it away. Because I get them at Dollar Tree, so not like they cost too much. But I don't want to waste $1, but still, because the glue, you know, it clumps on there, and then if you can't get it off, it's kind of ruined. So I bet that's what happened. I bet I threw it away. I think that's kind of almost bringing back a memory now. Like, it was kind of like, I don't know if it was eating up the end of it, or because there's silicone. Like, it was eating up the end of it and kind of all gunky, and I couldn't get it off. So I was like, okay, that one's done. I think that's what happened. Okay. Oop, a little bit more right here. I want this to be all solidly glued down too. Okay. Plus, this strengthens the spine, inside and out, you know, this fabric. And you could put tape under here if you wanted, or whatever else you reinforce your spines with on your journals, a tie back, whatever. If you think it'll look nice under there, make it, you know. I don't think that's really necessary, so I haven't folded this yet. I'm going to let that fabric dry now. Here's what it is looking like so far. I didn't pick out any pockets. I was going to, and I forgot. That's one thing I forgot. So I have rickrack, kind of a golden yellow, and I have, what else did I pick out for the, well, I kind of picked these things out for the closure, and then I changed my mind. This is a gingham, kind of a golden yellow gingham ribbon. And this is a very golden grosgrain polka dotted ribbon, if you can see that. So this one is kind of almost, it looks orange almost next to this, but it looks pretty. It does look pretty. It would add a lot to it. I mean, we might have to try. This one I think is a little thin. And I think you might see glue under it. Yeah, that one doesn't do anything for me. I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't do anything for me. Here's the rickrack I'm proposing. But let's just try this out real quick. Piece of tape that I'm keeping it. Because, oh yeah, I like that actually. It looks good with the flowers because that color is kind of like in these flowers right here. That's pretty gorgeous, I would say. I won't put it on top of the lady though. I'll put it on the edge of the fabric like that. Okay, let's try the rickrack because that's quite a different color. And it's another new package. Yeah, I try to not open new packages. I try to use what I have open, you know, because I have open packages. But I didn't have any golden yellow open, and I didn't have any, like I opened the, what's the other one? I opened the seam binding. I didn't have any golden yellow seam binding open, so I had to open. I had to go into my new ones. But that's what it's there for, me to use. Now this will go into my, I have a whole section of non-used ones that are not open. And then I have a whole section of ones that are open. So I look at the open ones first. And I haven't really gone into the non-open ones, unopened ones. much lately, but I was looking for a green like to match this kind of olive green leaf here, but I didn't have anything in the unopened or opened. It's like that. I've had that color before, but I don't have any right now, so I had to go with the golden yellow. Now this is going to blend in more, I can tell that right now, but it still will be very pretty. I kind of like the other one because it stands out more, but this one looks cute too. It's hard to tell, hard to decide. This one kind of brings it all together too, with the, because this is kind of the same yellow as the rickrack, pretty much. I think I'm going to go with the rickrack, and it gives it a more vintage look too, or retro look, because, you know, this is a vintage, you know, I think, what was it, 1968 or 1963, I think it was. So, yeah, let's go with this. I like both of them, but this will give it a more retro look with the rickrack. I went ahead and cut that off. So, let's do this. Actually, let's cut one for there, cut one for here. We'll do both of these. Pretty soon we're going to fold this though. It should be about dry. Okay, another one about right there. Alright, let's get these glued down. And usually, I don't like to, but I do. Because it's harder. It's easier just to put a string of glue on there. But I do it this way because I don't want the glue where it's not supposed to be on the cover. Because if you just put a straight stream, it could be showing in between the little waves of the rickrack, right? So even though this is more painful to do it this way you don't usually have any glue showing. And I'm using Fabri-Tac, as you can see, because I don't think anything else would hold this down, really. I don't believe that art glitter glue, and of course a glue stick is not going to hold this down. I mean, rickrack's pretty thick, so you need a heavy-duty fabric glue to hold it down. Alright, trying to make sure I have a steady stream here to get it all held down. I think it's everywhere. Okay. It takes longer, but this way I think it works out better in the end. And like I said, right on the edge, we're not covering up any ladies. If the fabric is showing in between, that's okay. As far as, you know, I think I can get it right on the edge here. Okay, I think it's pretty much where I want it. Okay, now I'm going to smash it down. I got glue on my finger, so I'm trying not to get glue on the pattern or anywhere where it's not supposed to be. So I got my hands in all these weird configurations here. So I just need to clean off my hands, really. My fingers. It's pretty dry though. Pretty dry now. Okay, so we're going to leave that like that. We got it from, it goes right to the bottom, and I'm going to put a little snippet off the top here. There we go. Now, why don't I go ahead and put the, I save a little time on the video, and I'll go ahead and put rickrack the other 3 pieces, because you saw how I just did it, so you know how to do it. Everybody knows how to do it. So I'm going to do that here, here, and here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got the rickrack all glued down. Here's the inside. I went ahead and folded it, so it's still a little stiff though. First time I folded it, well, the second time I folded it. But isn't that pretty? Isn't that going to be pretty? Or isn't it pretty with the fabric and the rickrack? You see what I mean? It adds so much to it. You have a little bow out here, but now I'm going to sew. So I'm going to go pick out some thread that matches, and do sewing all the way around, and that also adds a lot to it because it's going to be a colored thread to coordinate with the pretty color. Look at the back. Isn't that cool? Doesn't that add so much to it? The fabric and the rickrack. So I'm going to sew and I'll be right back. Oh guys, I forgot. Before I sew, I have to put in the pockets. I like to put in everything and then sew it all down. Okay, so I picked out some pockets while I was on pause there doing the rickrack. I picked out a snap card, vintage snap card. I believe it's, does it have a date on here? It says 1921 right there, so I don't know if it's that old or not, but I guess it could be. Right there, you'll be able to have it in your journal, whoever gets this. And what I did was back it onto some file folder so it would be nice and sturdy, and so that the snaps, when you're putting something behind it as a tuck, it's going to actually be kind of like more of a tuck spot than a pocket, but I put, there's a little sliver sticking down there of the file folder, but I put file folder behind it so it'll be smooth behind it, plus it's nice and sturdy, because there was a little, was there a crease in this one? There wasn't a crease in this one, but still it just needed to be sturdied up. So let me cut one more little sliver off here of file folder that's showing, and then we're going to glue this down. Sorry, I'm holding it over here, just over my a blank spot, so the sliver can fall down there and I don't have to worry about it at the moment. But I'm going to glue it right here. Okay, Fabri-Tac, where are you? So it's going to be a tuck spot. I'm not gluing it all the way around, just on two sides on the outer edge here. Make sure everything's upright. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. All right. So this is going to be sewn down too, but of course I would, glue. It also reinforces it and helps to keep it in place until I go and get it sewn down right here in the corner. And it does blend in with the colors. That's another reason I picked it, plus something different and unique there for a tuck spot. Okay, and then for the back, I picked out, here's a string. I didn't want to do the same thing because it, I don't know, it just felt like it was overkill. So I have this little yellow envelope. And I didn't want to cover this all up either because it's so pretty, really. I just didn't want to cover it up. So just a little envelope. I'm going to put it this way. So I put it this way. When I sew, I'll be sewing down my flap. So I figured put it this way. Flap will open this way. We'll put a little something in there and then we can sew. Oh, I'm still going to be sewing down my flap. Well, I might have to rethink that. I might not be able to use the envelope. Because anyway, which way I put it, I'm going to be sewing down the flap. Because I'm sewing on, unless I put it up a little, that's true. I can just sew it here. And then when I sew down here, it won't catch that. That's what I'll do. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put it right there. And we'll just put a little glue. I can still put glue here and here. Have it as I can either make it also a tuck spot or glue it all the way down. Let's see. It's paper. I think I'm going to glue it all the way down just to make it nice and sturdy. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be. It's paper. It's not like a cardstock envelope. I mean, who has cardstock envelopes? No, not too many people, I don't think. So, and I really like the idea of the envelope, but I don't want it to cover up too much. I didn't want something that would cover up too much. Even a library pocket would cover up too much. I want it right on the edge. It's going to catch the sewing over here, but then the flap can still open because the sewing is going to be right here. So it's not too far up from the bottom, so it doesn't cover up too much. And you've got kind of a little pretty little frame around it of the polka dotty paper. And then it'll be nice and strong, held down all the way by glue plus sewing. Okay, now I can go sew. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. the sewing is going to add a lot to it, so I think you'll enjoy that. I'll be right back. Okay, my friends, I have done the sewing. I used, yellow and gold thread, and here it is. I don't know if you can see it. It is yellow, but yellow is a light color sometimes. So let me show you. Yeah, I just sewed all the way around the edges with that. It's my favorite stitch, number 17 on a Brother Project Runway, and I tied the bow so you can kind of see. Of course, the pages aren't in here, but I just wanted you to kind of see like what it looks like. Pretty much finished unless I decide to add a flower or a yo-yo or something, which I probably will if I have one that matches. So here is the front cover. Super cute. I love it with the fabric and the rickrack. Here's the back. Let me untie it. You can see the pockets all sewn in. There we go. Yeah, so as you can see, it's been sewn right there. We'll put something in there. And then here's the snap card, sewn and sewn, side and bottom, and then we'll be able to put something in right here. Tuck some things in there. I left it open on the side so that something could, go in there that's bigger than the pocket, so it can hang out, one or two things, whatever. So anyway, that's it for now. We're going to start getting some pages together, and we'll see what I do next. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Have a great day.